Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Intentional Living Podcast. Good afternoon, John Donovan.
Hey, Marty Keller, good to see you.
Good to see you. How have you been?
Well, um, and there's details. I'm doing well,
Good.
and your life often gives you side curveballs and sliders and sinkers, and I'm doing well.
Good.
So participating.
Yeah, me too. Life is good as we recording this the week before Christmas, 2025, and I feel that spirit of Christmas and enjoying life. I'm here in Sacramento, California. You're down in Oceanside, California.
Mhm.
We're in two different parts of the state. We are having a rainstorm about to start here, and it's supposed to go for the next 5 days.
Oh wow,
So we'll be collecting rainwater to send down to you guys in the south in the next summer.
we're gonna need it.
Happy to do it. Although San Diego doesn't get any water from up here, but the rest of Southern
No,
California does.
no.
So, welcome to everybody to the Intentional Living Podcast. All personal commentary aside, this is a place where John and I take a look at uh, breaking patterns of behavior that we say we don't want, and yet they seem to show up anyway. I may have a
Right.
thought that says I shouldn't do that, and my body makes me do it anyway. Or conversely, I may have a thought that says I need to do such and such, and then my body just doesn't let me do it. So we're dealing with these subconscious compulsions, subconscious energies, subconscious dynamics here in the intentional living process that John developed a number of years ago, and that I've been participating in with him for 15 years or so now. And so this is a process that when we take it on, it can create a completely different relationship in ourselves, with the world. It's actually liberated me to create the life I choose to create as an adult human being, and to at the same time take care of a wounded, traumatized little kid in my psyche who
Hmm.
used to be in charge of my life, using fear and a desire for control as his lodestar. So, what we do in the intentional living process is uh, we have a practice that allows us to begin to create something through intentional uh, uh, observation and statements. That's why we call it intentional living. And John, as you know, for the past few podcasts, we've been taking a look at a series of principles that John and his team, myself and others included, have come up with that help us guide us through the intentional living process or help us illuminate what we're up to here. And the last time we talked about hurt people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put the share screen up and we can take a look at those principles, share it with folks in the audience here, and review those, and then we'll move on to the next ones. So we started way up here. I'm always getting what I want. It's never about the other person. The issue is not the issue. People treat me the way I want them to. The quality of my life is determined by the focus of my attention.
Yep.
Life happens for me, not to me. What I resist persists. And like I said, what we took a look at last time was hurt people hurt people. So now we've got we shift the focus here a little bit. Still taking a look at activities inside our psychic reality. And this is derived from a quote from Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychologist, who said, "The world outside me is but a reflection of the world inside me. The world outside me is but a reflection of the world outside me." And then there's a corollary one that we came up with. It's a slightly different angle, because life is lived from the inside out. And so I thought maybe, John, we could take these two as and comment on both of them, since they are both referring to this a similar understanding. So when we say the world
That's
outside of me is but a reflection of the world inside me, what do you hear? What does that mean to you?
um, there's. I'm glad you said that was by Carl Jung. It gives it some I want to think say esoteric credibility. Um, I I can only recognize something I know. Um, and my what I observe somebody do, I associate it to my total experiences to come up with a definition or um, what do you call it?
Understanding?
A word to describe an understanding of what I'm seeing. Everything I see in you, in my opinion or judgment of that, is something I've experienced inside myself. I call it frame of reference. It's like when I first got into recovery, my frame of reference was where it was, and I want to say it was limited. Um, I saw things through the lens of somebody struggling, beginning to struggle with, I didn't want to say alcoholism. I had a problem drinking. Okay. So I saw everything from everything I experienced from that lens. I somebody coming up to me and saying, John, maybe you should kind of look at your drinking. I would see that as an attack rather than a suggestion or a nudge or a friend's concern. But I could only see it through my frame of reference. What I didn't know at the time is that what what influenced that frame of reference was a I want to say a legion's worth of unresolved complex post-traumatic stress. You know, the way the 12-step group, adult children of alcoholics and other dysfunctional families says it is family of origin dysfunction or childhood trauma. Unresolved complex post-traumatic stress or the dysfunction I learned, how I learned to perceive the world through my parents' eyes and their judgments and that part of them that I took on, not knowing that it was not me, it was them. Anyway, so when I saw somebody, I could see the same person now after 37 years of recovery and see their and of course nobody would come up to me and say I'm worried about your drinking because I don't drink, but they might say to me, I'm concerned about your tendency to isolate. Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, I can see that. I can dialogue with them. Before it I wasn't willing to see that or couldn't see that as anything other than a criticism. And then adult children of alcoholics, one of the traits, laundry list traits, is that we see criticism as a threat. I don't know if I'm getting off track or, but everything I come to a conclusion on, an assumption or a concept comes from my own experience. Now, if somebody comes up and my perception is that they're arrogant, that word arrogant is based on everything inside me. Now, it may be true that they're arrogant, but I don't know until I speak to them and they qualify that for me. They say what they are from their own experience. I don't know if I answered that on track. We may have to take that apart a little bit. Um, but I can only know something that I've experienced.
Well, and let's just break that down into the basic building blocks. I mean, all consciousness starts within each of us. The,
Hmm.
the human brain, we don't necessarily know yet, of course, how consciousness and the human brain are related, or how that actually happens. But somehow our brains generate or activate consciousness. And you can see what I'm doing here. I'm touching my head. It all starts
Yeah,
inside of my head. There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
knowledge outside of me first.
Right,
Everything outside of me comes into my head through my senses. I see it, I hear it, I hear you talk about it, I feel it, I smell it, I taste it. And so the place where all of this is received and organized and analyzed and self-explained starts inside my skull. So when I say the world outside of me is but a reflection of the world inside of me, the first thing to appreciate is that all of us have the ability that we all have to know anything is in starts in here.
right.
Then
Comparing it to ourselves.
right. And then the next building block is the one that you were talking about, which is that how I learn to analyze that which is coming into my head through my senses. I also take in from the environment that I grew up in. So I will essentially adopt my parents' perspective,
Hmm.
and then that will become what's inside of my head.
Yeah.
And it becomes then what you said, the framework through which I see everything. Now, some people have asked us, is there objective reality out there? And my answer is yeah. But the objective reality out there still needs to be coming through my senses and explained in my head so that when I act upon that objective reality, there is a John Donovan. You're not you're not something I'm dreaming up, but my perception of you is entirely inside of me.
Yeah.
And so what intentional living does for us, and you began to get a hint at that when you talked about the projection mechanism, is it teaches me to see those things and then decide whether I want to withdraw those projections. So the world outside of me is but a reflection inside of me. I see someone as an arrogant son of a bitch. That's my judgment. That's inside of me. Like you said, that person may indeed be an arrogant son of a bitch, but my judgment of that person starts with me. And so, what intentional living teaches me, is to note those things and to be aware of them and to be willing to see them as products of my own consciousness.
Okay.
And once I
What
do
was
that, let me finish
yeah,
my thought, if I
yeah,
might.
yeah,
So, once I
yeah, yeah.
do that, I'm now free to create something different.
Cool. Okay. In the context of this statement is in the context of a intentional living accountability tree group. Now, the context of the group is there's something I don't know that's affecting my life adversely, and I would like to change something specific. Like for me, it was codependency, alcoholism, or avoidant behavior, raging. Okay. So, in the context of this group, this saying um, gives me the ability, number one, to have this dialogue and um, open up to maybe understanding differently. Most of the people, yeah, most of the people who come to the group have a specific want or need or something they're looking for. So this saying is it's like a Japanese koan that gets somebody like out of their mainstream thinking. And it's like a shock. So, okay, when I first got into recovery, what I wanted was peace of mind. And so the some of the sayings in the AA group or ACA was let go and let God. What do you mean let go and let God? That's another where it's a showstopper where it starts some kind of dialogue. I understand what you mean. Like, well, what does that mean to you? And then we're in a dialogue about it. Same thing with this. The world outside of me is a projection of the world inside of me. Maybe I got that backwards, but it
Yeah, no, that's
starts
right.
this dialogue. Okay, it starts this dialogue about how um, how I can move from whatever discordance I find myself in to a different place where I'm more fluid, more authentic, more dynamic in my life. More, the word is I'm looking for is proactive. Proactive. So these conversations offer me insight into what's really going on. Now, to a child in a dysfunctional home, when they, and I'm talking about the ages between 1 and 7, birth and 7, what they saw out there was what was in here. They had no difference. There was no difference.
Right.
So that reality of the child, without examination or mirroring or uh, I want to say healthy guidance from a guardian or parent and I'm going to involve teachers and mentors and aunts and uncles, would get stuck so that when I grew up, I would still be living in that reality and I found myself codependent, addicted, and some type of avoidant behavior. One of them was rageaholic. Okay. So this conversation, these koans, these statements of shock statements, begin a process of opening up in dialogue to get that my first reaction to an event, if it's a pattern that shows me something that's hidden from me. Gabriel Masi was doing this conversation with a guy, and to show him how this worked, he said, "Tell me a story about where you were upset." Well, he had a bunch of people coming in and going to do some work on his house while he was on vacation so that it would get all done and he didn't have to worry about all the noise. Well, when he got back, it wasn't done. So Gabriel Mate said, "What was your perception?" He said, "They don't care about me." That was his first. Okay. He goes, "All right. Now, might there not be another possibility about what happened with the contractors that's not true? And I would like to offer," he says, "your first go to, they don't care about me, is the reality of the child. That's what happened to the child. They didn't care about me. That's how you got that. That was your reality. Now something happens in your current reality. That's the first place you go. Is they don't care about me." Or he could have said they disrespected me, or their rip-off team. Whatever he went to shows him about himself, and this is pretty much what this statement is saying. How you perceive that outside, your perception of what's going on out there tells you, especially in a discordant way, what happened to you in your childhood. Like that example. In that man's childhood, there was and we don't know what the continuum, what the circumstances was. The conclusion he came to is they don't care about me. It was in his subconscious, unresolved. So that subconscious is active in his adult life, and that's the first place he went. They don't care about me. So it speaks to the world I see outside is but a reflection of inside. In this context, it's a tool of healing. It gives you direction to look inside to move from wherever you're at, because most people come into our groups are stuck in a place or struggling and they want relief or something different than what they have. And this is one of the ways we offer to them.
Well, particularly when you consider it next to the other statement, which is life is lived from the inside out.
Yeah.
So, in light of what you just said, what I hear, how I hear that applying is goes to the second part of the accountability tree. The first part is what's the truth? What am I feeling? The second part is, what do I want?
Yes.
So, for example, I've created a life intention. I intend to create a world of joy, peace, freedom, community, and health. Well, the
Yes.
principle that life is lived from the inside out means that I now see whatever happens through the prism or the framework of life of joy, peace, freedom, community, and health.
Yes.
In other words, I'm living life from the inside. Inside is I choose this framework, I choose this way of being.
Right.
And so when I see out there, that what I see is how those things are operating. When I was before I got into recovery, and remember, we talk about this broadcast, we take a look at compulsive behaviors and compulsive thoughts. I didn't say thoughts
Right.
at the top
Yeah.
of the podcast, but it includes our thoughts that just seem to show up with no volition of ours. So what I came to understand through working with you is that it was a wounded little boy whose perspective I was living from. And the world he wanted to create was a world of fear, anxiety, stress, hypervigilance, and drama. And so when I lived life from the inside out, from that inside, what I
Yeah.
saw outside of me were the opportunities to find stress, anxiety, drama, et cetera, et cetera.
It validated that truth inside you. It
Right,
was chaotic. People weren't trustworthy. They would backstab you. They would tell you lies. They would lie to
right.
your face. All these things I used to say. They
Yep.
would lie right to your face. Well, maybe, but if
Yeah.
some okay, from the childhood's perspective, that's a point of contention. From my perspective now, as somebody who's addressed that childhood, it's a point of removal. It's like, excuse me, I got something to do. I don't have time to argue because you're lying and I don't want to do this. It's not me trying to convince him that he's doing it or I be right or I get my neighbors and everybody so everybody's on my side. We'll get this guy. I, and I can't remember. I don't know if anybody's ever really lied to my face. And you see what I mean? It's like once I'm out of this lens of unresolved trauma, the world I see is bigger, kinder, oh, and sometimes more tragic. I can see the tragedy of where people are based on my moving through my own tragedy, and therein lies my empathy for them instead of revenge or got you or whatever I might have done before my recovery process. So
Well, and you can see how this principle or these two principles are related to the very first one we discussed, which is I'm always getting what I want, because it's the want that organizes or populates that framework. It's like what do I want is
yes,
how is what determines what I believe. What I believe is what I is how I see. In my Unity church, we used to flip that old
yeah,
saying "seeing is believing" into "believing is seeing."
yes. I like that. Yeah, believing, and then you see things that confirm the belief.
Right.
Absolutely. Another thing this has offered, another result that this conversation that the world outside of me is but a reflection of the inside of me is that I don't I move I've been able to in discordant situations, difficult situations, I've been able to move to resolution quickly. Now, the difference I'm pointing out is before I had this resolution of the healing, I would stay stuck like in a loop thought. Well, he said that, and next time I'm going to say this, and if he hadn't said that, and oh, I should have when he said that. For like 2 weeks, I'm in this loop about what the guy said. Now it's he did do that. I said I'm not participating. It's over, and I'm on. I'm done. I'm in my life now. I don't get stuck in a loop thought or control and me going over something over and over. That rule of thumb, 3 times. If I'm in some thought pattern 3 times about what somebody did or didn't do, I'm in a controlling mode. I absolutely know that. If I don't move to resolution first time, yeah, maybe it needs some more attention. Second time, I'm suspect. If I engage in it the third time, okay, there's something in me that needs to have a look at, because is this, I can say that now, is this worth my time and effort, whatever it might be, to convince this guy that he just disrespected me? Is it worth my, I don't know. But I moved to resolution quicker based on having conversations like this and realizing that I did project my wounding, my prejudices, the things I didn't want to see in myself out on other people, because seeing it in myself, that would, well, I was raised Catholic. If it was really inside me, I was going to hell. So I had to do everything I could not to own. And I didn't know that owning relieves and allows me to move to a different place. I'm going to say better place, but I don't know if that's true. Better, different, um, and then do it all over again. Make choices. Be proactive. Be my own advocate. So those are the results of why we throw these sayings out and engage in this dialogue, to give insight into things that when I first got into recovery, I wasn't aware of anything we're talking about right now. I wasn't aware that this could even be a conversation. I was looking for a fix. Tell me how to act. I'll do that. Bullet points, and then boom, I'm out of here. See you later. Thank you. And I thought it'd take about 6 months to figure this shit out, and I'd be gone. 37 years later, here I am. Okay, still learning, still in the learning process. Yeah, it's fantastic.
But the thing to appreciate in what you just said, and I want to point this out particularly for newcomers, is that the world inside you is changed because you were able to first see the world inside you that you used to inhabit. And
Mm-hmm.
then, number two, make the changes that you wanted through the power of intention.
Through the power of intention. Make the intention, and the changes I wanted again happen inside and were reflected by how I saw the outside. Now, I don't see what I used to see as, well, I don't perceive criticism as a threat. I see criticism as a heads up, or um, point of connection or dialogue and expansion and growth, which is
Yeah,
way different than, you can't tell me that. How come you always pick on me? You
right.
don't know all that stuff I used to do.
Well, I'm not as advanced as you, but I can now when I have criticism and I get that energy in my gut, I at least have the awareness. What's inside of me is that feeling.
Yep.
I'm aware the world inside of me is but or the world outside of me is but a reflection of the world inside of me. And when I feel seized up, I feel that tension in the gut, that painful uh, knot there. Now, at the very least, I say, oh, because something's going on inside of me,
Yep.
and I can then do the accountability tree, which is feel the feeling, what's going on, what's the story I'm telling myself, where I'm saying about that
Yep.
person who's criticizing me, and that opens the door to the subconscious, and I can take a look at that and find what's the truth. The truth is, I'm afraid when that guy criticizes me that I'm going to lose this relationship.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, that's what's going on. Okay, so what do I want? Okay, I want to be at ease, at peace, confident. I intend to be at ease. I intend to be peaceful. I intend to be confident. I'm working. When I do that, I start to change the world inside of me. And that's the power of this from my perspective. And eventually, someday, I'll get to the point where when I hear that criticism, I just go, "Oh, well, that's interesting. I wonder, should I pay attention to this?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible. And people ask me, they watch me uh, do something like that in like a group, and they go, how do you do that? And I go, a lot of practice, a lot of practice, a lot of looking inside, a lot of not doing it very good,
Yeah.
and then owning that.
Well, that goes back to the principle we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Life is happens for me, not to me. So if inside the world inside of me is that life happens to me, then I'm going to be a victim in my
Exactly.
relationship with the outside world. If I
Yeah.
shift that, I create it through this process,
Hmm.
little by little over time, life happens for me. Then what will show up for me when something uh, painful or unhappy happens, what'll happen is like, oh, I wonder what's going on, as opposed to, you done me wrong.
Hmm.
And so that's the power of this is
Right.
we life live the good news about life is lived from the inside out is that I have power over what the inside looks like. And
Right.
when I
Yes.
create a different inside, then I automatically create a different outside. That's the
Yep. It
implication
shifts with it.
of this these principles.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, we've come to the end of our time together on this one, and I know there's more that we could say. Maybe we will next time. But before
That's
we
okay.
wrap it up, I just want to let everybody know that what we do, the principles that we share here, help us do the actual work of becoming accountable, which is to say, being willing to account, discuss, point out, name those experiences that we're having inside of us that make us unhappy, that make us afraid, that make us sad. When our conscious mind goes, I don't want that. And so
Right.
this practice we call the accountability tree. We do in group, and we have 4 intentional living groups that meet every week. And information about how to join them, they're all on Zoom, will be at the end of the podcast. So we invite you to come to a meeting and ask questions, learn about what we're up to here. Um, Check it out for yourself. So
Very good.
before we bring this to an end, any last minute thoughts about these 2 principles? The world inside of me is but a reflection of the world. I'm sorry, the world outside of me is but a reflection of the world inside of me, and life is lived from the inside out.
They're both complementary, and um, I've learned to recognize the response, feeling tone of whatever is going on in my life, and go listen. Um, and at first, it was tedious. What am I feeling? How did I feel about that? It could be in retrospect. Now I've found that it's a flow that I'm that I've embodied, and I find myself engaged with people in a way that's inclusive, and that's what I would like to offer anybody that wants to do this work. It's like another way to say that is I've come to a life I never knew possible.
All right. Well, with that, John, thank you very much, and Merry Christmas. And we'll pick this up next week.
You got it.
Take care.
Thank you.